Hey, college sports fans, for the Clemson Tigers, the best is yet to come in 2026. That's for sure. We've talked about a lot of the problems. Now that there's been a bye week, though, we kind of want to look at some of the things that maybe can help turn things around for the Tigers. At least the way we see it. In Dabo we trust, obviously, but we got a few things that we have seen, and we want to start at offering up some of the solutions that might help out and things that we will be watching for when Dabo Swinney takes on Bill Belichick. Sure seems like polar opposite personalities there, about to meet in Chapel Hill right after the 9:30 a.m. Ludacris concert. So I bet he's never gone on stage at that hour before. Anyway, I'm Bill Zimmerman. This is the Reign Supreme All Way Podcast, Season 4.
I'm Daniel Shirley. I bet Ludacris has still been on stage at 9:30. I don't think he's
That could
ever
be.
gone on stage at 9:30. And I would love to see Ludacris in concert. But
I would.
I'm in a weird spot with this football program. And you had the bye week last week, and I did 20 minutes and tried not to rant and rave and scream and get us kicked off YouTube. And I did. I was able to do it. But I've come to this, like, by the end of the week, and you hear Dabo speak, and the players are talking, and I've gotten a little, I don't want to say sick of the players talking, but I'm just kind of done with the players talking about I'm ready to lead and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But I also, when I hear Dabo talk, it's like, okay, yeah, that's the guy you want to play for, right? That's the coach who has done this before. And I tend to trust people who I've seen do it before. Not that he's perfect, not that they're not going to the playoff this year. They're not winning an ACC title this year. I think that is out the door. They've just given away their chances to win what looks like a wide open conference in my mind.
Well, wait,
But
what gross food are you going to eat if they prove you wrong?
well, I don't eat gross food, so I don't do that stuff that you do. I'm not betting on anything. This ain't Fear Factor. I'm not doing any of that weird gross stuff. Because I have a very small tolerance for that. I have a bad gag reflex, and I don't think anybody wants to see that. But
No.
I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a bad year. And what they say the 5 stages of grief are: anger, and I mean I went through anger for a couple times, but I'm
Are you
almost
sure
at,
that are you sure that's past tense?
well, it'll probably start back up at noon on Saturday, but
There you go.
here on Monday I'm at acceptance. Okay, this is going to be a tough year. They don't have the kind of team that we all thought they were going to have. And look, they could win out and I won't be shocked. But to your lead in, how can they get to that point? That's what I want to see. That's where I am with this year's team now, I believe, is we've heard you talk about it. We know you're 1-3. You can't do anything about 1-3. We've seen this team recover the past few years. We saw them recover last year. We saw them recover, a couple years ago when they were 4-4, right? And they went
Yeah,
out. The great win over Notre Dame, beat South Carolina, all that stuff. How does this group do that?
right.
That's what I want to see, and that's kind of where I am with this team. Now, that might change. That might be different by 1 o'clock, you know, on Saturday, halfway through the second quarter, if they're losing, because I think North Carolina is atrocious. So this is a get right game. It feels like, but you've got to go do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a few things, little lists that I sent you a while back, and we've kind of been thinking about back and forth since then. Some of those things are kind of big picture, right? Like if we had done this topic a week ago, maybe we would have talked more about them. But things like, let your CEO coordinators, now that that's the term in Clemson, let them hire their own staffs. If they're going to be CEO of their side of the ball, let them hire their own staffs. You can't do that at the
Yep.
first bye week, although I was a little surprised that the entire staff remained intact after some of the rumors that were floating around out there. I kind of didn't think that's the Dabo Swinney way, and so it's not shocking that the entire staff is intact through only 4 weeks of the year. But what is, I guess the real watch begins at the second bye week coming up. And then, other things like, let's see Kevin Kelly really make more of an impact, right? Yeah, the decommitment of Dre Quinn this past week. And, obviously 2 weeks earlier, he had gone on a visit to another campus, to another game. I believe it was Tennessee. That's pretty much a decommitment around where the Blue Ridge yawns its greatness. That's the way Dabo Swinney has treated that. But you can't like ask Kevin Kelly to come start coaching guys in the field. So that's not going to make a difference this week. And then the other thing was longer term, I think, is like, let's get away from this heavy reliance on guys who are at really small private schools, coming in as recruits. They are very developmental. There's a bigger chance that they're not going to develop. We'll see how that unfolds over time. There's some very promising talent on the team in that regard. But again, that's not something that can change, during a bye week and turn the season around. So there are a few things that I think can.
Connect with us on social media. That's at Clemson Kickoff. Whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, you'll find us there.
And one that I really want to see is if we're doing all this rotation of players that we've seen. Sadly, we're not doing it very much at running back, and I worry about running Adam Randall into the ground, literally. But when Adam Randall fumbles, when Cade Klubnik makes a very bad read or fumbles the ball, botches a handoff, sit those guys for their mistakes. You're 1-3. Like, you can't sit there and go, "Oh, I don't want to disturb his groove. I don't want to, rattle his confidence." Like, it's time to try a little bit of fear, very public fear, and as a motivator. And so when you see those things happen, when you see Blake Miller with his second and third and fourth false start, that's a good time to rotate somebody in and get them in there and give them a chance. These fundamental errors can't be tolerated when you're at 1-3, and you better not be thinking about trying to win the ACC. But if there's any hope, they do have to run the table, like you said. So it's a fundamental thing across all kinds of sports, and it's very bizarre to me that some of the mistakes that we have seen have been tolerated.
Yeah, look. How do you challenge guys in sports? I mean, what matters to players? Now, a lot of people say money, and we know that money has become a bigger issue in college sports. I would argue it's always been an issue in college sports, but I mean,
Yep.
a part of, not an issue.
The magnitude has changed.
Yes, right.
But I think you're right.
Then what's a way to challenge them or to threaten them? And I don't mean threaten them in a bad way, but I mean to threaten them and challenge them in a way that gets their attention.
Yeah.
It's playing time. And I'm sorry, if you're going to fumble every other week, or if you're going to throw a couple of picks every other week or every week, there has to be a repercussion for that. You saw the Georgia Tech game, and I go back to this specific example. Strozier was in at cornerback, and I remember this vividly. He missed a tackle on 2 straight plays. One of them would have been about a 2-yard gain, and the one before that would have been about a 3-yard loss. And he's in perfect position. The coach has done their part, and he doesn't make a tackle. And I'm not saying your cornerback has to be the best tackler on the field, but if you go back and watch the film, it's clear which 2 plays I'm talking about. And immediately Mike Reed turns around, gets somebody, and because it was over by the Clemson sideline too. So that was even worse for Strozier. And I'm not picking on him. He's certainly not alone in making mistakes on this team.
And how?
But Mike Reed immediately got him off the field and put somebody else back in. Well, okay, I get you can't take the quarterback out every time he throws an incompletion. Understand that. You can't take your running back who's averaging 9 yards a carry out every time there's a bobble. Absolutely. But if it keeps happening and your quarterback is making mistakes, there has to be some accountability. And how do you hold them accountable? Playing time.
Yeah.
And if you say, well, Vizina's not ready, we can't do that. Well, then that's on you for not doing your job. You're literally not doing your job if Vizina is so unready to play that he could not come in and take a series one series, I don't understand how that's possible. So that's the only way you could threaten these guys or challenge them, or again, however you want to put it, is playing time. Hold them accountable through playing time.
Yeah.
Not they're doing everything right at practice. We see it Monday through Friday, all the quotes. We know all the quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill, they don't, the quarterback's not getting paid all that money to practice. He's
That's
not
right.
getting paid all that money to play well on Monday. He's getting paid to play Saturday when there's 80,000 people in the stands.
Right.
And it means something. And that they've got to get back to that.
Yep. And they're clearly not putting in the right level of work to play up to their potential
Right.
because they're not playing as well this year as they were last year. And yeah,
No.
it's Klubnik, but it's a lot of other guys too. And the other thing I'll add is, if you're going to sit a guy for a mistake, it's not just, hey, sit and think about what you've done. Like you got to get in his ear with positive like coaching.
Teach
And,
them.
like, hey,
yes.
here's what you've got to do. You had the ball in the wrong arm when that linebacker popped you, Cade. That kind of thing. Like if he's coming at you, you got to shift the ball to your other arm. You got to minimize the impact of that
Or
hit.
both hands.
Yeah. And I have seen.
Up. Yes.
I've seen Wesco. I've seen Randall. A lot of times, as they're being hit, they go to both hands. So those are kind of things that you want to see driven home, and in the game, because not doing it in the game sure isn't fixing it. Another thing is getting those defensive linemen firing off the ball at the snap. I mean, I just so many plays I've noticed, and I'm not as much as I want to watch the trenches during a game. I just get distracted. Ooh, ball, and that's unfortunately
we're
how
like
I watch a
puppies.
game.
Right, we're like
But
puppies. We get distracted by the toy. Yes,
exactly. But I got to tell you, even I, with that fault and how I watch a game the first time through live, I am seeing that the offensive line is the one who is taking it to the Tigers' defensive line. Something's got to change there. Something's got to make those guys dictate ownership of space, direction. They're not going to get blocked out of the way. They're not going to have a small gap turned into a large gap because two offensive linemen are doing the right thing at the same time. They've got to start creating pressure, and a lot of that starts with a quick fire off the ball. And I'll tell you what, I'd like to see it from the Clemson offensive line as well.
Yeah, Bill, I'm confused about a couple of things about this team. Well, more than a couple of things. The offensive defensive lines, I thought were going to be a strength of this team. And they have absolutely not been. Now, again, we say this a lot. They're not the only problem, but they are not a solution. And Blake Miller is a senior, right? 4th year.
Yeah.
And at home, no noise. So you can't even blame it on the road noise situation. False start. You're coming over here standing next to me. I'm sorry, you're out.
Yeah.
Somebody's running out on the field and tapping you on the shoulder in front of everybody. We're not going to wait till the next drive to sub you out.
Right.
I'm sending my true freshman out there. He's tapping you on the shoulder. You're on the sideline.
And part of that also is like, you got to do it in the moment, because let's say he has 3 really good plays after that before there's a timeout. Then Matt Luke or whoever can't exactly run out to him and say, what the heck's your problem, man? What's going on? Why'd you jump? So yeah, sorry.
And I'm not saying, no, you're fine. And I'm not trying to single him out. I'm not singling out anybody because,
right. We've gone through about 10 names at this point, haven't we? So
right. Well, so we're definitely not saying, but
be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. It's free. It's the best place to catch all our episodes, and it's the best place for you to comment with your reactions.
But I last episode when you were gone, I mentioned who's playing well, and we got some comments, and I forgot about Jaheim Lawson, and I'm glad whoever it was said Jaheim Lawson, and I'm pointing my finger at myself for forgetting about Jaheim Lawson. But I want to see the Jaheim Lawson effort, the Adam Randall effort, the Bryant Wesco effort. I want that from everybody.
Yeah.
And, the offensive line, again, I didn't think Matt Luke would fix it in one season, but I thought they would be much better this year. And they have not been. They have not been good.
Nope.
Now, I'll tell you when they have been good is when they just line up and say, we're going to run the ball at you the last two or 3 weeks. When they've done that, they've been pretty good. And I even jokingly texted to you after the Troy touchdown to start the second half. Well, maybe they just don't let Cade throw the ball. Just run the ball. You know, let that be your identity because they need an identity.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not singling out Peter Woods. Peter Woods is a fine young man. He's a good player. But for my money, he's an example of what been talking about for a couple of weeks with people. There's too much I'm going to lead talk. And now that we're 1-3, I'm ready to lead. And I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna be that. And it's not just him. There's several other people who've been doing it as well. Well, what were you doing before? Right? And how about let's see it on Saturday? Again, I'm not challenging the character of these young men. These fine young men, they've represented our alma mater well. They're not out getting in trouble and breaking the law and doing things like they do at some other schools. I would never do that until some of them do that.
Right. For the most part, there's been one or two.
Right. But you get a free ride and now you're making a lot of money to play football. And I'm all for that. I've always been for that. I think it should be. If the coach can make $10 million a year, then the players should be able to make some money.
Bingo.
I don't have a problem with that. And anybody who has a problem with that, I can't have that discussion with you because you're wrong.
No, and I'm tired of hearing the second highest paid guy in the locker room is the quarterback. And I'm like, well, have you looked at the NFL lately?
Right.
How many guys make more than the head coach in the NFL in every locker room?
Everybody.
So I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, right. So you have to have some pride in yourself. You have to have some respect for your teammates and some love for your teammates. And I saw I can't remember what site I saw it on, but there was where I saw it the last week or so, because I've tried to stay away from it, to be honest, for a week. But it was that this is a group that doesn't like each other. And, kind of where has that been at Clemson in the last decade and a half?
Yeah.
That they're, you don't see guys playing for each other. And that's got to return. Again, that goes back to leadership. That goes back to guys leading. But I want to see, as you said, to get back to your original point, I don't want to call for people's jobs. I don't like doing that. But I thought it was a mistake when Tom Allen was hired and none of the defensive coaches changed. And I don't think that they're not developing talent. They're not recruiting as well. There's no doubt about that. So maybe that's where it starts with some coaching changes after this year. And we see some new ideas, some fresh ideas come into the program. But for this year's team, look, I think, the offensive line, defensive line, they've got to show some pride and they've got to show some toughness. And then everybody around them has to do the same thing. That's what I want to say. I want to see some pride, some toughness, some love of the guy next to you to play for them, and maybe this off week has been a good thing for them. Maybe they'll get back on track, but we'll find out Saturday at noon. If they don't, then the train's off the tracks.
Yeah. And it can't be, hey, I'm going to change the season with this one play. Like, I'll give one example. Again, not to single one guy out. We mentioned playing names. What I say about Wade Woodaz last year, sometimes he would get over his skis a little bit, get behind the line of scrimmage too quickly, trying to get in the other team's backfield and try to make a play with a tackle for loss. And suddenly there's Lenore Sellers running right by you in the fourth quarter, or there's somebody else who is juking you out of position or using a blocker where he's supposed to be filling a gap and making that play at the line of scrimmage, 1 or 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, or sorry, on the Clemson side of the line of scrimmage. Like that's his assignment. Don't blow containment. And instead, somebody's running for 7, 8, 15 yards. And I'm still seeing that this year. He has not really remedied that the way it ought to be. I don't know who else. That's a pretty glaring one, if you ask me. But, um,
And they don't have a lot of depth there either to pull
no,
him off the field.
no, exactly. Third thing, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, so we don't have to dwell on it a ton. But Garrett Riley's got to get on Clay. Garrett Riley has to get on Cade Klubnik's page. He's got to do a better job of that than I am doing saying it, but he's got to figure out what parts of the playbook that Cade Klubnik can run. He's got to find. They've been together. This is their third year as a starter and OC combination. It's got to start coming together. It's got to be a situation where you can manage. And here's one thing I was going to jump in on a minute ago and kind of didn't, but there are a significant number of snaps where Klubnik is getting plenty of time to read the defense, watch his receivers get open and complete a pass. And Joey Galloway really called them out at halftime against, I believe it was Syracuse, and said, "Hey, you got guys." I'm sure he was exaggerating. Said, "You got guys running. You've got 10 seconds to throw the ball, and receivers aren't getting open." So that's got to change. He's got to be able to see some open guys, and he has certainly missed locating some open guys. Also, guys have to do a more reliable job of getting open, giving him options. It's all got to come together, and Garrett Riley is responsible for making it happen or not making it happen.
It's a complete offensive meltdown. And
yeah.
Look, I go watch Eric McLean's film breakdown, and where he's watching a play going, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. Fourth down last week against Syracuse, Clemson's last chance. Antonio Williams is open. It's 4th and 6. Throw the ball. And he holds it, throws it too late, and almost gets Antonio Williams hurt.
Right.
Because he held the ball so long. So, look, and I'm glad that I didn't do the podcast after I heard Cade whining about Syracuse faking injuries. I did it before I heard that, because we might have gotten kicked off YouTube if I'd have heard that. I've had some time to cool off since then. I'm sorry.
I'd have edited.
Well, yes, that's exactly the opposite of what Clemson needs. Yeah. Whining and complaining and pointing fingers. You need to lead and take responsibility for the way you're playing, and stop saying we're running up and down the field when you scored 21 points on one of the worst defenses in college football.
Yeah.
And Bill, here, you know what I want to see on offense? Play with some pace. Play with some tempo. It's clear that Cade Klubnik, and Bill, I can see it. And I have very basic knowledge of what plays and schemes look like in football. And I've been watching football since I was 5 years old. But I can tell when they are running with tempo, he feels more comfortable.
Sure.
And so they get a first down and they come to the ball and they stand there and look around for 30 seconds, and he's looking to the sideline waiting for somebody to call a play. Pick up the pace, play with some tempo. If it doesn't work, okay, what you're doing now is not working. Try something else.
Yeah.
Hey, check out our website, clemsonkickoff.com. It's got kickoff times. It's got archives of episodes and blogs, some offers. It's a simple resource for you.
So I would start with Garrett Riley, as you said. If the playbook is this wide and he can only handle this much, run that much.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care if you run the same 5 plays the whole game, and run them with some tempo. That's what I want to see. And defensively, they've got to get some pressure on the quarterback. Those guys up front have got to be better.
For sure. Anything that I've left off this list that we talked about or that has come to you since we started kind of brainstorming?
I want to see. I think I like angry Dabo. I want to see defend my program Dabo. I don't need the 45-minute speech about what you did in 2014.
Yeah.
But I want to see defend this team Dabo. And get that. Where's the Dabo that I'm going to prove you wrong. I can do this. Who got the job, overcomes the 5-game losing streak to South Carolina, all that stuff. We haven't won the ACC title in X number of years. What was it? 18, 19 years since you and I were in college. They hadn't won the ACC title. Well, we're going to do that. And remember the Dabo who said everything we've done once, we've done twice after they won the first national championship, or, after they won the second national championship. Sorry. Where's that guy? That's what I want to see. Fire in the belly. Look, I love the emotion that we saw during the alma mater after the loss to Syracuse.
Agreed.
You got to get that. You got to get that in the players and get them to care as much as you care. So that's why I kind of changed that kind of changed me a little bit after the loss to Syracuse. I was so ticked off, but then when I saw his reaction, I'm like, okay, 5 years from now, this is going to be a distant memory. It'll get fixed.
Yeah.
He's not going to let that happen. But what about this year's group? How's this year's group going to respond? That's what I want to see. I want to see some toughness. I want to see some pride, and some want to, because it's easy for us to get on here and rip them and the way they've played. Well, don't listen to us. We're just two chuckleheads who don't know anything about football. Not much anyway. We know a little bit.
Right.
A little bit.
I mean, we've been watching and more than watching, as sports journalists, we've been analyzing and paying attention and like if a reporter sends us a story and says, A, B, and C happened, and we're like, that didn't happen. Like we got to watch the games closely and understand what's going on. Do we understand it as well as Tom Allen, Garrett Riley, Dabo Swinney? I don't think we do.
Well, that's why they get paid what they get paid. We don't get that kind of pay.
Oh man, and somebody FOIA'd the entire staff salaries, by the way, and it's up on one of the message boards. So
really,
take a look at that. Yeah, I'm sure MBG is going to pick that up at some point. The other thing I was going to add on that is like, I didn't expect Tom Allen to come in and cure every single thing in year one.
No.
I did think there would be improvements, but it's turning out everything we've done once, we've done twice. Well, apparently the new coordinator not having the full fix is something they did with Garrett Riley, and they're doing it twice now with Tom Allen as well. And I don't know that that's all on him. I mean, it takes two to tango. I've said that about, coaching versus, is it a coaching mistake? Is it a player mistake? I've discussed that in the past. And you do have to have willing people. The other thing, they've done it once, and I hope they don't do it twice, is 6 and 7, right? Because we don't want to see that again. And this team is so much more talented than the other 6 and 7, than the 6 and 7 team. It's not the other one yet. But that
Bill,
team had a lot of holes to fill, and this one supposedly had all the holes filled except punter. And
but
look who's playing really well, our punter.
Yeah, that team, that was, again, very early in Dabo's tenure.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
That team remember Taj Boyd said after that bowl game, this ain't happening again. They need somebody to stand up and say, this ain't happening anymore. This has got to stop.
There you go. Kind of full circle, at least for this week. We will see what happens against the Jordan Hudson coach. Bill Belichick coached North Carolina Tar Heels this Saturday in Chapel Hill, noon kick. I'll be watching for sure. And until our next episode, I'm Bill Zimmerman.
I'm Daniel Shirley. Go Tigers.